glad you could be with us on our news this hour. Here are the headlines. Works and Supply Minister Felix Mutati says the remaining components of the machine, which will be used by government printers to print ballot papers, have been bought. Police in Lusaka have charged 3 Chinese nationals with offense of copyright infringement for manufacturing counterfeit mineral water. The ruling Patriotic Front says an opposition alliance would not remove it from power in the 2021 elections. For the news in detail, my name is Machamanda. Works and Supply Minister Felix Mutati says government has spent 5.6 million kwacha to buy the remaining components of the printing machine at government printers, which will be used to print ballot papers and other government documents. Mr. Mutati has told journalists during a familiarization tour on the Copper Belt that the web presser printing machine was bought 5 years ago but could not function properly because some components were missing. He says government has since managed to pay the outstanding amount towards the remaining parts. Mr. Mutati says the machine will help address the printing challenges the government printers department is facing. He adds that printing ballot papers is less than 10% of the printing work the machine can do, stressing that the machine is capable of printing out 38 different government documents.
It couldn't function, so now we have paid. So the parts will be coming, they'll be fixed, and will soon be running test drive to see what it can do to answer to the challenges, the printing challenges that we've got. You must know that ballot papers are less than 10% of the business capability that government printers can do. So that is number one. Number two is the whole issue of valuation, the valuation roll. Most of the valuation roll have expired. They have no impact. And because we have valuation rolls that have expired, we're influencing the reduction of tax revenues. Number two, the people that are involved in valuation, because the sector is highly unregulated.
Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has warned perpetrators of political violence in the ongoing by-election campaigns that they will not be treated with kid gloves but will face the wrath of the law irrespective of which party they belong to. The police chief has since advised all political players to demonstrate maturity and peaceful tendencies as opposed to the violence that has characterized the ongoing election campaigns. Mr. Kanganja has reminded all political players that the electorate has a constitutional right to listen to campaign messages from political parties of their choice without any coercion. He says the electorate should be allowed to participate freely and in a peaceful environment during the whole electoral process. Mr. Kanganja states that all political parties should conduct their party activities without unwarranted suppression and intimidation. He has implored all political players to observe the provisions of the Electoral Process Act and always avoid engaging in behavior that has potential to cause disturbance. Meanwhile, police in Lusaka have charged 3 Chinese nationals who were recently caught manufacturing counterfeit mineral water for various bottling companies in Zambia, among them Aqua Savannah and Aquarite, with offense of copyright infringement. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo says the 3 directors of Joshun Limited of Makeni, identified as Zhang Shunu, aged 79, Liu Kuifen, aged 68, and Liu Hefeng, aged 39, all Chinese nationals, have been charged with offense of copyright infringement contrary to Section 28(1)(d) of the Copyright and Performance Rights Act number 25 of 2010, Chapter 406 of the laws of Zambia. Ms. Katongo says the facts are that the accused persons under the company named Joshun Limited were illegally using Ferry Bottling Zambia's Limited's registered industrial design 20-liter water bottles where copyrights exist. She says the trio have been released on police bond awaiting court appearance. Ms. Katongo adds that investigations in the Aqua Savannah trademark infringement have continued.
Police in Lusaka have charged 3 directors of Joshun Limited of Makeni, aged 79, 68, and 39, respectively, all Chinese nationals, for the offense of copyright infringement contrary to Section 28, subsection 1D of the Copyright and Performance Rights Amendment Act number 25 of 2010, Chapter 406 of the laws of Zambia. Facts are that the accused persons under the company name Joshun Limited were illegally using Fairly Bottling Zambia Limited's registered industrial design 20-liter water bottles where copyright exists. They have been released on police bond awaiting court appearance. We further wish to inform members of the public that investigations in the Aqua Savannah trademark infringement involving the same suspects have...
Senior Chief Mukuni of the Tokalea people of Kazungula district in Southern Province says President Edgar Lungu should break his silence on the allegation that he is not Zambian but Malawian. Speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka, Chief Mukuni says the president should tell his side of the story and shame those questioning his origins. He says the substance of the allegations by People's Party President Mike Mlongoti and the new Labour Party President Fresha Siwale question the Republican Constitution, which was assented to by President Lungu. Chief Mukuni says if President Lungu is proved to be a Malawian by descent, his election is now and void.
In my comments, I said when these people spoke, I said maybe in the future, even if say the presidential candidate says my father is dead, we go to the grave, do a DNA test on the bones and that presidential candidate. Yes, irrespective of who they are. All we are saying, let's follow our constitution. If not, let's remove that clause from the constitution that anybody, any Zambian can be chief. Then we make it life easier for everybody. In our preamble, we did say that participation in national politics does not limit the chiefs to casting their votes for their preferred political candidate during national elections, but also calls on them to be bold enough to stick their necks out and point out areas of national maladministration as opposed to glorifying gross national administrative irregularities. And we added, unfortunately, a popular option for most of our traditional leaders.
Speaking at the same briefing, Chief Hamusonde of the Tonga people of Monza district says their demand to know the origins of President Lungu should not be politicized as they are within their rights in line with the current constitution.
Not ourselves complaining. We didn't even write in that one that we are not complaining. We are concerned over the allegation brought up by two Zambians, two friends, two political leaders, that is Mr. Mulongote and Mr. Siwale. You know, we love Mr. Lungu. We love that man. Any president of this country, we love him. Any chief is part and the parcel of the government of today, any chief, for development drive. And we love Mr. Lungu. Now, these disturbances that come in, day out, are not conducive for the president. Now, when we advise that, can you follow these things and make them clear? You people are saying we are advocating. We have nothing, practically nothing, against the chiefs of Eastern Province, our friends. We didn't even mention them.
The ruling Patriotic Front says not even an opposition alliance would remove it from power in the 2021 elections. This comes in the wake of the latest Economist Intelligence Unit EIU country report, indicating that the Patriotic Front is likely to lose the 2021 elections if opposition political parties formed an alliance. The report suggests that a potential alliance of opposition parties would make victory conceivable given a wave of anti-government resentment over taxes, subsidy cuts and joblessness. But PF Deputy Media Director Antonio Mwanza tells QTV News that the party is not moved by the EIU report. Mr. Mwanza says the PF continues to gain popularity in the country because of its transformative agenda for the people of Zambia. He says the opposition has failed to provide solutions even on minor challenges, and therefore people of Zambia cannot trust them with state powers.
Well, it must be made very clear that the Patriotic Front is a party that has continued to grow. If you look at the election results of 2011, when the Patriotic Front won the election, they won by about 941,000 votes. In 2016, that doubled, and the Patriotic Front won by 1.8 million votes. So it is very clear that the Patriotic Front has continued to grow from 2011 to 2016. And every election that we have participated from 2011, 2015, and 2016, the numbers of people that have voted for Patriotic Front have continued to grow. So we are not concerned about the opposition or an opposition alliance, because first of all, we know that the people of Zambia have a lot of confidence in the Patriotic Front, and come 2021, they will give us another mandate. The people of Zambia know that the role of the opposition is to provide checks and balances and to provide alternative policy. And so far, we do not have any opposition in this country that is doing its job. Even if you talk about the biggest opposition in the country, the UPND, they have failed to provide checks and balances. They have failed to provide alternative policy. They don't inspire the Zambian people.
People's Alliance for Change PAC President Endiford Banda has observed that politics of vengeance and intimidation is what has given birth to political violence in the country. Mr. Banda notes that the political parties involved in such negative vices are the same ones and seem to have unsettled scores against each other. He has advised his fellow political leaders not to be power-hungry, saying this tends to be dangerous for a growing democracy like Zambia. Mr. Banda has since reminded leaders of political parties engaging in political violence to remember that they are slowly destroying the country's peace and unity.
Has not recorded any political violence, and probably that's the reason why we have not been attacked by other opposition political parties. Of course, there's been some levels of intimidation, from the PF in some areas of the country, but I can tell you that it's not something that we can call political violence, but just a lot of intimidation coming from the ruling party. However, we have not been involved because we are always talking about issues. And this is what we've always said, to say that if all political parties, were involved in issue-based politics, I think we would see, the levels of violence, going down, and this is where the Zambian people need to know that the reason why, there's violence in politics is because most political parties, especially the two big political parties, they don't engage in issue-based violence, but in vulgar languages and insults, which culminates into violence.
Minister of Health Chitalo Chilufya says government plans to create appropriate departments and strengthen the Health Professions Council of Zambia to support the practice and regulation of traditional and complementary medicine. Speaking on the sidelines of the high-level First International Traditional and Complementary Medicine Congress in Istanbul, Turkey, Dr. Chilufya says government wants to strengthen the practice of traditional and complementary medicine in the country, but that this should be evidence-based and regulated. The minister, who underscored the need to protect public health, noted that it was important that remedies that are made available to the public are effectuous and evidence-based. Dr. Chilufya, who was flanked by Deputy Head of Commission at the Zambian Mission in Ankara, Wadianondo, and Director, Healthcare Financing in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Anita Kaluba, said the first International Traditional and Complementary Medicine Conference was an important platform that brought countries together to reaffirm their commitment to integration of traditional medicine with conventional medicine. He said Zambia admired the progress that Turkey has made in traditional and complementary medicine. Dr. Chilufya added that Zambia was also collaborating with China and India in traditional and complementary medicine, and he said there were some Zambians currently training in combined countries of traditional and conventional medicine in China. The 4-day First International Traditional and Complementary Medicine Congress has attracted 124 scientists from 24 countries, 248 keynote speakers, and 4,000 delegates. This is contained in a statement issued by First Secretary Press at the Zambian Embassy in Turkey, Jerry Muntali. Lusaka Province Minister Boma Lusambo has advised local contractors to work according to contractual specifications to avoid disappointing government. Mr. Lusambo is advising the local contractors against abandoning projects, saying this is painting a very bad picture of them. He says President Edgar Lungu has made it a mandate that contracts should be shared between foreign and local contractors. Hence, the need for local contractors to work hard. Speaking when he toured some projects being undertaken in Kafue district, Mr. Lusambo says it is the wish of the government to see to it that Zambia is developed. Meanwhile, the Lusaka Province Minister says government will ensure that nitrogen chemicals of Zambia starts operating at full capacity.
Project. So I hope you forgive us the information that we have today. Initially, we're supposed to be here at 10. I'm happy that I've come to NCZ. As you might be aware, NCZ is our strategic partner for government. Government of His Excellency we are doing diversification, and as we diversify, we are going agriculture way, and the agriculture sector will need the NCZ to support our diversification process. We want to move from mining to agriculture, and the President, Mr. Lungu, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces, is very serious on that issue.
And the NCZ Chief Executive Officer Zuze Banda says plant needs an injection of 1 billion kwacha to be able to operate at full capacity. He says of the 1 billion kwacha needed, 500 million kwacha is for the rehabilitation of the plant, while 500 million kwacha is working capital. Mr. Banda adds that the company is also indebted to about 100 retirees who are owed over 50 million kwacha.
In 2017, NCZ contributed 68,483 metric tons to the e-voucher system of phase. However, the profit margin on this product are very small. The second product that NCZ produces is ammonium nitrate. This line of business constitutes a survival plan. We survived in the past in the production of ammonium nitrate in the 90s when NCZ operations were crippled by those who remember the liberalization of the fertilizer business industry and also the privatization of the company, which saw operations literally coming to a halt. And some of our companies, I think all of us will know, KTZ went into extinction.
The University of Zambia Lecturers and Researchers Union Unzalaru is hopeful that government and management at the institution will address the various challenges facing lecturers to avoid industrial unrest. Unzalaru Publicity Secretary Moffat Moyo has told Q News that the lecturers do not intend to down tools this semester as long as things are done correctly. He says lecturers do not like the fact that the academic calendar is every now and then affected and disrupted by the go-slows and strikes, but states that the go-slows are the most effective ways the lecturers have their right or plight addressed by government and management. Mr. Moyo is therefore optimistic that management will live to its word of paying the lecturers on time.
Because we do not at any point plan to down tools. As far as we're concerned, we are here to offer a service to our students. Actually, that's the main reason we are here in university. Without our students, we wouldn't be here. No one would be here. Everyone who has been employed by the university is here because of the students. The university itself wouldn't be here without students. So we listen to students, and we actually do not like the fact that every now and again the university calendar is disrupted. And we know that the go-slows, the strikes, all these protests that go on, negatively affect the academic calendar. But I'm saying I cannot give a definite yes or no because there are a lot of factors that come into play. If you're going to talk about downing tools, we do not just decide to down tools. There are reasons why we do that. Yeah. So if everything is in place, there'll be no reason for us to down tools. But if things are not in place, then we will down tools at the right time, following the right procedure. I'll talk, for instance, about the delayed salaries. That I'm sure has been. The public is aware that UNZA has been known for paying salaries quite late. But there is a difference. I think the past 2-3 months we have gotten our salaries on time, and management has assured us that from now onwards our salaries will be paid on time. So for as long as that continues, we will also be.
French ambassador to Zambia, Sylvain Bega, says Zambia is the best destination for investment in the region. Mr. Bega explains that Zambia's geographical position in the region gives the country easy access to the export market. And the French ambassador says there are currently 38 French companies operating in Zambia, in various sectors. He has reaffirmed his commitment to encourage more French companies to come and invest in Zambia. Mr. Bega has also disclosed that France and Zambia are in the process of creating the France-Zambia Trade Chamber, which is expected to be set up next month.
And then we have the private business. We have 38 companies here. We are in the process of creating a French-Zambian Trade Chamber, which will be set up normally next month, with French companies and Zambian companies. We have French companies coming from France, French companies coming from Southern Africa, South Africa. They are based in Johannesburg, but they cover the region. They come here because they say Zambia is a relay of growth for them. And we have also companies coming from Eastern Africa, from Kenya, for instance, and also French companies coming from Western Africa, Abidjan and so on. And then all those companies develop their markets and contracts in Zambia. And now the private part is taking the lead in the cooperation. I think this is a normal evolution because Zambia is developing itself, is an emerging country, and you don't need any more grants to help for a small project, even if I know there are many NGOs which have projects here. What is more efficient, what is at the scale of the challenges here, is to have private sector coming.
The Department of Road Safety and Awareness under the Zambia Police Service has urged both bus and taxi drivers to be responsible by not endangering the lives of their passengers. Zambia Police Service Officer in charge of road safety awareness, Yoram Piri, said this in Lusaka during the stakeholders meeting for taxi and bus drivers organized by the National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, and the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA. Mr. Piri says the drivers have a huge responsibility in helping reduce road traffic accidents in the country by observing all the traffic rules. He states that drivers should not perceive road traffic law enforcers as their number one enemy.
One, he must make as many trips as possible. In forcing yourself to make these trips, many trips in a day, you find yourself again obligating traffic rules. One, exceeding the speed limit. Two, leaving the usual lane where you are supposed to use. You would want to use the pedestrian walkway because you want to be faster. You forget about traffic lights. You beat traffic lights because you want to be faster. And sometimes commuters do not even worry as long as they reach. They only turn against you when you are involved in an accident. When you reach them to the point of destination safely, they are happy. Even when you run away from traffic officers, as long as you take them and reach your point, they are happy. But now, we are saying this is not the way forward. Can we find a better way of cooperating with our colleagues?
Speaking earlier, Public-Private Drivers Association of Zambia President Josiah Majuru commended the National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, for intensifying efforts to reach out to the excluded employees through its program Extension of Coverage to the informal sector that includes bus and taxi drivers. Mr. Majuru says it is a known fact that the employers of the bus and taxi drivers make contributions to NAPSA while their employees are not making any contribution to the authority.
Time is now when we are very energetic, we are accommodated even in the bus stations, but the time will come when you will not be accommodated in the bus station. We know the language. They will say, but if I station. Even when you're on the steering, insults will come. Vima drivers, yes, it's true. Because we face similar challenges. But let's put an end to these insults by just ensuring that we compel our employers to do the right thing. Even ourselves, we also do the right thing. So that we make them understand to say, we are partners. Though they call us their employees, but we are partners. They understand very well that we are partners in the sense that they contribute capital by buying a bus. We also contribute labor, and then we work together, we make money. They understand that.
That item brings us to the end of the news, but before I take a run, here is a recap of stories in the headlines. Works and Supply Minister Felix Mutati says the remaining components of the machine, which will be used by government printers to print ballot papers, have been bought. Police in Lusaka have charged 3 Chinese nationals with the offense of copyright infringement for manufacturing counterfeit mineral water. The ruling Patriotic Front says an opposition alliance would not remove it from power in the 2021 elections. Ends the news. Thank you so much for your time. Pleasure watching. Bye-bye.